Hello, I'm Henry, and I watched a movie. I watched Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and I would like to talk about it, please. On his character of Chancellor Valorum in Star Wars Episode 1, A Phantom Menace, Terence Stamp explained that George Lucas described the character as, he's basically a nice guy, but he's beleaguered. A little bit like Bill Clinton. Now, whether you agree with this or not, whether you think Bill Clinton is a nice guy or if he's a criminal that should be in prison, or if you trust the political insight of George, Trade Federation, taxation, how liberty dies Lucas, is not really the point here. The point is, I think this description, while initially intended for a minor character in a single Star Wars movie, actually perfectly sums up Albus Dumbledore. Specifically, old Albus Dumbledore. The Albus Dumbledore we see at the time of the Harry Potter books and movies. To be beleaguered is to be in a difficult situation, worn down and haggard almost by the weight of a problem. At the time of the story, Albus Dumbledore is in a very difficult situation. He knows the most evil wizard in the whole world is out there somewhere, and while the world thinks it's safe, he is burdened with the knowledge that they are not. He does not know how this evil will return, but he knows it will. And whilst dealing with this existential threat, he's also scrambling around looking for information as to why this evil won't go away permanently. And then following on from that, how to make it go away permanently. There is a lot on his plate and on his shoulders, even if he doesn't show it, even if no one else knows it. Why am I telling you this? Well, I'm giving him an excuse. I'm giving Albus Dumbledore an excuse for the stream of terrible decisions he makes in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. He's under a bit of pressure, so his choices aren't the best. And I mean, if I've got something on my mind, I'd like put my shoes on the wrong feet and won't even notice until I'm halfway to the train station. So we can cut him some slack. That being said, this man drops the ball spectacularly and repeatedly in this movie. I cannot stress enough just how badly he fumbles the running of a school and his role as headmaster. So we're going to be looking at every single instance of said fumbling, which should stress it enough. Real quick, we're just talking about the movie. If some of these things are explained away in the book, doesn't matter here. A movie, regardless if it's based on a book, should be logically sound and be able to stand on its own two legs. Exhibit A. The Ford Anglia. Harry Potter and Ron Weasley have just arrived at Hogwarts in a stolen flying car. As opposed to the usual method of getting to the school, the Hogwarts Express train. They are intercepted by Filch and taken to Snape, who grills them. Our man Dumbledore then arrives, accompanied by the boys' head of house, Professor McGonagall. In this scene, Dumbledore makes a good, fair choice, deferring the boys' punishment decision to their head of house, and then makes the baffling choice not to ask any questions. Surely, the first thing you ask these kids you know to be good, decent people, is, why did you do this? Why did you steal a flying car? Why didn't you get the train like everybody else? Harry and Ron have no reason to lie in response to a question like that. They would just say, the barrier to the platform sealed itself and they couldn't get through. And even if he thinks that's not the truth, first of all, it's a weird lie to make up, and it's still worth investigating. That's got to be some strong, strange magic that can do something like that. Maybe magic only a magical being, like an elf, could do. He should have come out of this scene with an inkling that something fishy was going on here. Instead, he asks no questions and does not push this obviously deeper issue any further. Bizarrely disinterested is the way I'd describe his actions in this scene, and to be honest, across the whole movie. An attentive teacher and headmaster would know something more was going on, or at least attempt to find out if something more was going on. Exhibit B. Gilderoy Lockhart. Gilderoy Lockhart is this year's Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. Gilderoy Lockhart is a useless fool who can't perform even the most basic of magic, barring one spell. Gilderoy Lockhart is a shameless narcissist who has neither the temperament nor the drive required to teach. Gilderoy Lockhart is a con man, a fraud, and a criminal who takes credit for the achievements of other actually capable people. The question here is, does Dumbledore know any of this before employing him? There is a line in the books that confirms he absolutely does, but as I said, we're not looking at the books. In the movies, it's a little more vague. They don't really interact with each other very much. But there is this one look Dumbledore gives him, like really, my guy? That look alone is enough, I'd say, for Dumbledore to know what Lockhart really is. But if you don't think it's enough, and that's a bit of a reach, that's fine. Because I don't think it matters if he knew before employing him. He should have found out during the recruitment process. Ever heard of a job application, Albus? Ever heard of a job interview, Albus? Ever heard of background research and a job applicant, Albus? You should have. Your headmaster. Doing any one of those would have found this man out immediately. I mean, even with the comparatively shallow bits of world building we get in the movies, we can do some background research on Lockhart right now. The titles he recites for himself in his first lesson are Order of Merlin 3rd Class, Honorary Member of the Dark Force Defence League, and 5-time winner of Witch Weekly's Most Charming Smile Award. Order of Merlin 3rd Class? Honorary Member of the Dark Force Defence League? They don't actually sound like very impressive titles when you think about them for like 2 seconds. And Albus, even if you do think they are impressive titles, all you need to do is go into his classroom once and see all the pictures the man keeps of himself to know he is completely unhinged. This is the man you hired. This is the man teaching your students. This is the man teaching your students the incredibly important and potentially life and death subject of defense against the dark arts. Why did you hire him? Well, I've actually heard an answer to that question, though obviously not from Dumbledore himself. There is a theory on the internet saying that Dumbledore hired Gilderoy Lockhart for the sole purpose of showing Harry Potter the dangers of fame going to one's head. It's a logical theory. Harry Potter is arguably the most famous person in the entire wizarding world. And entering his 2nd year of Hogwarts, he's now defeated Voldemort, the most evil wizard in the history of the Earth, twice. There is a real risk of him getting an inflated opinion of himself. But is teaching one 12-year-old a life lesson worth vaporizing the educational quality of the rest of the entire student body for a whole year? No, it isn't. What if you're some 7th year and you want to be an aura, like wizard SWAT, basically, and all your career prospects hinge on your defense against the dark arts results, and you walk into your first class that year, ready to go, ready to learn, ready to take that last step in your education, and you realize the person teaching you is incapable in every way? You'd be like, is my life completely ruined? I think it is. No shade on the theory, of course, it's just a theory. It's all shade on Dumbledore. If he did his due diligence, the theory wouldn't even be needed. Exhibit C, the first attack. A cat gets petrified and a racially motivated death threat gets painted on the wall in blood. Albus, Bubby, what do? Do you A, recognize the words Chamber of Secrets on the wall as something relating to what happened 50 years ago where a student was killed, and then treat this like what it is, basically the wizard equivalent of an active shooter on the premises, and order an immediate school-wide evacuation? Or do you B, send all the students back to their dormitories with no further instruction? If you said B, I appreciate your optimism in this time of obvious crisis. But what if whatever/whoever did this to the cat is just around the corner? Seriously though, a racially motivated death threat written on the wall in blood and a petrified cat? It is beyond the bounds of logic that the movie doesn't just end right here. Do you not care if people die? You know people can die in a situation like this. You saw that 50 years ago. Evacuate the school. There is clear and present danger. What are you waiting for? What do you think this is? You like Officer Phil Collins in Hook? This could be some sort of elaborate prank. The school does not close and the movie does not end. Side note, Draco Malfoy should be expelled on the spot for what he says in this scene. He reiterates the racially motivated death threat to someone's face whilst adding a slur. This isn't something you walk away from. This isn't something you should be able to walk away from. Imagine anything like that in the real world. Why isn't he rushed? Why doesn't some muggle-born 6th year just grab him by the throat and beat the daylights out of him? Is he expelled though? Of course he isn't. That's what a competent headmaster would do. Though no teachers were there, so maybe just no one snitched on him. Exhibit D, the rogue Bludger. Now, I'm aware that Dumbledore was not actually at the Quidditch match in which Harry Potter, the most important living person in the world, was nearly killed by a magical object that even Hagrid could tell had been tampered with. So there was nothing he could have done in the moment. But did no one tell him? The fact that he does absolutely nothing about it, no investigation, no reassurance to Harry that he would find whoever did it, would say that yes, no one told him. I suppose the only conclusion we can come to here, without any background information or POVs from other characters, is that every single person watching the Quidditch match was just as negligent as the headmaster. If there was a tad less negligence and a smidge more boots on the ground investigation, perhaps a link to the rogue Bludger and the sealed train platform could be found. I like to think he found out about it like 3 years later and was like, why didn't anyone tell me about the attempted murder of the most important person on the planet? And everyone else just gives him the bleeding gums Murphy like, we all thought it was funny. Exhibit E, the second attack. Colin, thank God he's barely in any other movie's Creevy, gets petrified. What do we get here? Well, we get concrete acknowledgement of the situation at hand. Dumbledore says, verbatim, the students are in great danger. Hogwarts is no longer safe, and the Chamber of Secrets has in fact been opened again. And what does he do after stating these cold hard facts? Nothing. Not doing anything after the first attack is one thing. Maybe you could convince yourself it was some sort of prank or a one-off. But now it's happened again. With a person this time, not a cat that no one likes. How is the school still open? How is Dumbledore just chilling in his office talking to his Phoenix after what he has admitted is happening? I know the wizarding community is more lax on health and safety when it comes to the Muggle world, but it's only through a freak accident that Colin Creevey wasn't killed here. If he didn't have his camera, we would have a dead 11-year-old on our hands right now. What if his parents came in and found out about the first attack and how the school did nothing about it and allowed the second attack to happen? I don't know if wizards sue each other, but it feels like a situation like this would start it off. Get every single person in the school as far away from the school as possible, as soon as possible. That doesn't happen. Instead, we get dueling lessons. Exhibit F. Dueling lessons. Instead of doing the right and responsible thing of closing the school and sending all the students home, our wise headmaster decides to greenlight a dueling club. Why get our students away from danger when we can teach them to fight the danger? Sound. And who's running the dueling club? Lockhart? Is it Lockhart? It's Lockhart. Cool. So this is worthless. We are months into the school year at this point, and the fact that you haven't clocked that this Lockhart brings nothing to the table is embarrassing. And if you do know, and have known from the off, which is actually what I think is happening, it's even worse. Why are you entrusting the safety of your students in a time of such extreme danger to this man? This would be like if in a regular school there's a confirmed murderer on the loose, and the head comes along, he's like, "Don't worry, kids. Instead of telling you to get somewhere safe, here's an AK-47 each, just in case you come across the murderer yourself. And here's Mr. Blobby to teach you how to use it." This is madness. Also, there appear to be no rules at this dueling club, and no safety or protective equipment whatsoever. What if with one of these wacky spells Harry and Draco are chucking at each other, one of them falls awkwardly and breaks their neck? Exhibit G, the third attack. Third verse, same as the first. And the second, another attack. I mean, it's a Hufflepuff this time, so who actually cares? Not me, but I tell you who should. Dumbledore. Let's see his response. Harry Potter, caught at the scene of the crime, is brought to the headmaster directly, who, after giving him a lesson on Phoenix biology and confirming that he does not think Harry is carrying out these attacks, lets him go, though not without asking Harry if there's anything he wishes to tell him. Harry, answering like Mark Wahlberg in The Happening, says there isn't, and the matter is closed. Smash cut to Happy Christmas music. Obviously, I'm hammering the point home a little bit too much now, but it bears summarizing again. The school should have been shut after the first attack, and the fact that it isn't after the third speaks volumes. By the grace of whatever deity controls these things, no one has died yet, and the only action taken has been the starting of a pointless dueling club. There are no words. I'd like at this point to broach the subject of if Dumbledore actually knows what's going on. Does he know what Slytherin's monster is? Does he know how it's being controlled and by who? And does he know where the Chamber of Secrets is? I think yes, kinda, and no. He's one of the smartest, if not the smartest wizards in the whole world. And if a 12-year-old can figure out what the monster is, he should be able to too. He's also mates with one of the best, if not the best, magical zoologists in the whole world. From all the signs, the petrification, the link with Slytherin, Dumbledore should know it's a basilisk, and he should get Newt in to sort the whole thing out in like 2 seconds. I think he's assuming Voldemort is behind what's going on, as he's aware of the Dark Lord's heritage, though I don't think he's aware it's Ginny Weasley of all people actually physically doing everything, as he's unaware of the Diary Horcrux. And I genuinely don't think he knows where the Chamber of Secrets is, or he would have done something about it long before now. Now maybe that's giving him too much credit. Exhibit H, 50 years ago. I keep saying it's 50 years ago, I'm not sure if it actually is. In the diary flashback, we don't get a single instance of bad headmastering on Dumbledore's part, because he isn't headmaster yet. What we do get is the man learning things, absorbing information from a passive distance. Tom Riddle being sus, Hagrid being arrested, Myrtle being killed. These are things that should probably influence his decisions going forward, when events start repeating themselves after he has become headmaster. They should, but they don't. Exhibit I, the fourth attack. Oh dear, it's someone we actually care about. Hermione, a main character, has been attacked. Will Dumbledore's response fit the literary gravity of the crime? or the literal gravity of the crime? Well, if you've been paying attention, you'll know the answer to be no. The school, of course, remains open and no one is sent home. I tell you, this place is harder to close than those plastic containers you get from the Chinese when you're using the wrong lid. But we do get some new rules, some new safety instructions. All students will return to their common room by 6 o'clock every evening. All students will be escorted to each lesson by a teacher. No exceptions. Far too little, far too late. Besides these being basically logistically impossible, how are they going to help? Do the basilisk's death eyes not work at 5:55? And what's a teacher going to do if a giant monster that can kill you by looking at you comes slithering around the corner? Here's a tangential question. Why isn't there mass panic at this point? I feel like 4 attacks, well, I feel like 1 attack, maybe 2, is enough for all the students who are children to freak out. Everyone's just shrugging though. They should all be in Gryffindor with how brave they are. Exhibit J, in Hagrid's hut. A lot goes down in this shed, but you can really just break it into 2 parts. Hagrid's arrest and Dumbledore's removal from position. Fudge comes to take Hagrid away to Azkaban and Dumbledore lets him. What this hinges on is if Dumbledore believes Hagrid opened the Chamber of Secrets the first time. Of course he does not. He absolutely knows Hagrid was innocent then, and he absolutely knows Hagrid is innocent now. And yet he still lets him get arrested. And if you think I'm assuming what Dumbledore knows here, I would draw your attention to 2 things. The first is a line in the first movie where he says, "I would trust Hagrid with..." Well, that's a bit King Charles, isn't it? Oh well. "I would trust Hagrid with my life." Would he say that if he thinks he attacked the school 50 years ago? And the second, and the real clincher I think, he employs Hagrid at the same school he was expelled for attacking. He knows for a fact Hagrid was innocent and is innocent, which only makes his actions, or lack thereof here, frankly, disgusting. All he says is, "I want it understood, Cornelius, that Hagrid has my full confidence." If I was Hagrid, I'd be like, "Oh, is that it? That's all you're going to do?" He's not being taken off to some holding cell somewhere. He's going to Azkaban, this hell-on-earth nightmare prison. Dumbledore should have been like, "Cornelius, you take one more step towards my innocent friend, and I will put you in the ground, sunshine." Then Papa Malfoy shows up, and the entire situation plays out again, except with Dumbledore failing to defend himself instead of Hagrid. The governors want him out of the school, and fair play to him. Everything brought up in this video so far should be evidence to that. Dumbledore has done jack and all about the attacks, and he is woefully unfit to be headmaster. That being said, he is still the best wizard in the whole world, and his presence alone is a massive deterrent for people who want to do some evil. He should know this. He should realise that him leaving the school puts the students at even more risk. But he still just leaves. "Is that a piece of paper with 12 signatures on it? My one weakness." Why wasn't he like, "You want me to leave, Malfoy? Make me. In my entire life, there have only ever been 2 people who could step up to me. One of them I beat, and the other is a formless gas. Send anybody you want. Send everybody you have, it won't be enough." He does not fight Hagrid's corner, and he does not fight his own. This whole thing is really sad. At least it's gone now, so we don't have to look at his responses to Ginny being taken directly into the Chamber of Secrets, and everything that plays out from there, because he can't have one. I mean, it's entirely his fault that it happens, but he doesn't need to have an official response to it. Exhibit K, in Dumbledore's office. Here we are in the falling action. The climax is done, the monster is dead, and the day is saved. And in this scene, when there is nothing on the line, when no one's lives are in danger, he is a really good headmaster. He's funny and kind and intelligent. He sees the good that Harry and Ron have achieved and he thanks them for it. He helps Harry with his identity crisis with kind words, explains some of the magical shenanigans going on in the background, and reassures him that he's a good person with a poignant speech about choice. And he even hits Papa Malfoy with some sass. Nothing to complain about here. I feel like I bring up The Godfather in nearly every single video. But anyway, in The Godfather, there is a character called Tom Hagen. He is the consigliere to Don Corleone, the advisor. He's a brilliant character. He's smart, he's sharp, he's organised, he's composed, and he's on top of everything at all times. That is, however, up until the moment things kick off and a gang war starts. That's when he starts making mistakes, making poor decisions, causing problems with his inaction, or his caution, or his prolonged deliberation. He is not a wartime consigliere. He is a peacetime consigliere. He's perfect for when things are calm but he's not very good when things hit the fan. The same can absolutely be said for Dumbledore in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. He's calm and slow and methodical, and maybe that's great for when there isn't a monster on the loose. But when there is, his comical levels of idleness only cause harm. He is not a wartime headmaster, he is a peacetime headmaster. Hello, thanks a lot for getting to the end of the video. Like and subscribe. 3 movies down, 1 to go. I think I know which one I'm going to do for the next video, the last one. I haven't watched the movie or written the script or done anything towards it yet, and time is getting tight, so this is going to be a bit of fun. No all-nighters. Resolution, no all-nighters.